The beginning of 2017 has seen the arrival of more than 4,000 troops in countries along NATO's eastern flank. The movement is part of the biggest reinforcement of NATO's collective defence in a generation and is known as Enhanced Forward Presence.
Enhanced Forward Presence is a demonstration that NATO understands the risks of our region and is reacting proportionately, protecting us all, because we know that defence is indivisible.
Split into 4 multinational battle groups, each consisting of approximately 1,000 soldiers with equipment and armoured vehicles, the deployment sees 3 of the battle groups stationed in the Baltic States, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania, and 1 in Poland. But why is the deployment necessary?
We have a neighbour who does not respect its own signature on international agreement, who is more and more openly asking for a change in the international value-based world order.
They still think that Baltic States and Poland are supposed to be the territories of influence to Russia, and that obsession that these territories have been lost to NATO and to the West is still very deeply in their consciousness and mind. And after occupation of Crimea and what's happening in Ukraine, it is clear that this mentality is still predominant in this country's leadership.
Agreed at the NATO Summit in Warsaw last year, the battle groups are combat ready and will train and operate alongside host nation forces. But just how serious is the threat?
We don't see any imminent threat against any NATO ally, but we see a more assertive Russia. A Russia which has significantly increased its military presence in this region, which has invested heavily in defense military for many years. A Russia which has been willing to use military force against a neighbor, against Ukraine, and also against Georgia.
The Baltic States, which have large Russian-speaking populations and also share a border with Russia, were occupied during the Soviet Union era, before regaining their independence in 1991.
From very small age, you felt repressed and occupied. This was exactly how it was growing up in the Soviet Union. I had to live with this internal feeling that it's all wrong and I cannot do anything about it.
We do see the militarization of Kaliningrad, we do see aggressive exercises. All this signals very clear demonstration of muscles, of posture, demonstration of aggressive attitude, and we need to respond appropriately.
So who is where? There are 15 initial troop contributing nations. In Estonia, the battle group is led by the United Kingdom with a deployment of 800 and further troops from France. In Latvia, the Canadians lead with 450 soldiers, reinforced with troops from Albania, Italy, Poland, Slovenia and Spain. In Lithuania, the Germans lead with 450 troops, while Belgium, Luxembourg, the Netherlands and Norway also contribute forces. And in Poland, the United States leads with 1,000 troops, along with contributions from both Romania and the United Kingdom.
People do see soldiers from Enhanced Forward Presence, our British and French allies. They also see the Baltic Air Police mission airplanes flying over their heads on exercise or scrambling to look at the planes which are violating our airspace. These are all visible signs that we are protected.
The 4 battle groups will deploy on a rotational basis, with more nations expected to contribute forces in the future. They will remain in place as long as required.
We need to face this reality and to adapt to it, of course, only with deterrence position. No threats, no any kind of aggressive reactions towards our neighbors, just commitment of deterrence and self-defense if necessary.
We don't seek confrontation. We don't want a new Cold War. Actually, we seek dialogue with Russia, but we have to send a clear message to avoid or prevent any misunderstanding, any miscalculation NATO stands as one for all for one. That's the best way to prevent conflict.
Precinct, hold! Parade!
As we celebrate our continued partnership with the country of Latvia. The soldiers in front of you represent the best of both nations. They are ready, lethal, agile, and committed to the collective defense of Europe so that peace may reign.
interacting with other nations, it's been terrific. There are many differences, there's no doubt about that, but there's just so many similarities. I'll give you an example. A couple ranges ago, we did a little kind of show and tell with the Spanish, and we had our small arms out there, and we had some of our heavier weapons too, and basically we're going through some of our standard operating procedures, how we take apart the weapons and so on. That actual range, it wasn't too nice of weather. It was actually, it was raining quite a bit. Our Canadian soldiers with the Canadian Armed Forces, we have a saying, if it ain't raining, it ain't training. And I didn't even say that, but one of the Spanish soldiers looked up at the sky and he said, no rain, no train. So they got pretty much the same sayings and they operate the same way. So a lot of similarities, you know, a soldier's a soldier.